Wondering what you got for me. Egyptian cotton is hard to beat. My lady only. I'm wondering what you got for me.
I wanted to wear my glasses. Ain't this a bit?
We up?
Wear glasses.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. This is Anthony Glenn, where I'm your host on the Sit Rep podcast, where we help you win in real estate. Today, I have some very special guests. I got ODIS, James, I got JENSEN, and I got BRUNO, NASCIMENTO. And listen, we're talking about this bullcrap lawsuit, okay? All right, so first and foremost, thank you guys for coming. We're going to pin a link at the top. Guys, we're live on all social media platforms. Okay, we're on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, the whole nine, guys. And we're going to pin a link at the top, and we're going to talk about some of the facts that came out of this lawsuit. First and foremost, I want to start from my left to the right. JENSEN, can you let them know who you are and what you do?
Hey everybody, good afternoon. My name is JENSEN. I'm a real estate agent down here in Southern California, where we are today. Work alongside the great gentleman in front of me. So we're here to give you any kind of information we can. My background is in real estate sales, and we're here to talk about how this is going to impact the market. I've got about 5 years in the industry now and have a little bit of construction experience. So I'm here to offer whatever I can to see what this new lawsuit's going to affect for the landscape for the average buyer and the fringe buyers as well.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
And then I have Otis James here. Otis, can you let the people know who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. And let me just say, I'm glad to be here amongst you fellas. Just to
Mhm.
clarify a few things, I now identify as what's his name and them. So those are my pronouns. I'm a full-time real estate investor out of the San Francisco Bay Area. I've been involved with real estate pretty much my entire adult life. All things real estate, investor, broker, and so on and so on. And you know, I gotta ask you guys, and I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, but what does it feel like when you guys found out that I was going to be on your podcast today? What did you feel like you had arrived?
I did polish my shoes, especially for that.
Yeah, I never see it from the other side.
I
So I
understand.
was, glad to be here. Glad to be here. Bruno, I'm gonna pass the ball to you, man, and thank you for just being who you are, man. I don't get a chance to tell you that. I know when we talk, we don't like to make eye contact.
Hey, I'm telling you right now, man, we have a non-alcoholic beverage. This is actually apple juice, y'all. If you guys want to see us live on the SitRep YouTube, okay, there's going to be a link at the top of my head on Clubhouse. And guys, man, we're about to unpack it, man. Listen, this is what you're going to get today. Before we go over to Bruno, let me tell you what we're talking about. We're going to be talking about the $1 billion lawsuit against National Association of Realtors. Okay, all of the settlements from Keller Williams on down. And we're also going to be talking about investing in real estate and a bunch of other stuff, okay? So I hope you guys are rocking out with us. And if you guys have a hot mic on Clubhouse, please, if we bring you up on stage, please mute your mic, okay? Because we got a hot show. Without further ado, Bruno NASCIMENTO, can you let the people know who you are and what you do?
Absolutely, man. I'm the guest that is next to Otis, right? So,
And that's enough.
So let's lead with that.
Otis's right hand.
Man, but hey, man, I'm excited to be here, man. So my name is Bruno. I'm down here in Southern California, like the rest of these fine gentlemen. He's in the North California, but our guest every now and again. But man, excited to be here. Real estate investor, real estate professional, everything real estate, man. Eat, sleep, shit, real estate. It's what I love to do, man. And trying to see if there's a way where I can, provide value to people. So I think that being able to sit down with this panel of gentlemen, I think is going to be good, because then we can give different opinions and we can talk about the effects that it'll have, in each of our different businesses, because we're kind of spread out on the things that we do. So just excited to be here, man. Let's get to it.
Okay, so, and guys, again, this is the SitRep podcast, okay? So you'll see make sure you like and subscribe, because we're going to be coming on live a bunch, and we're going to be talking about a bunch of different things. Not only are we going to cover the lawsuit and what's going on, we're going to cover some of the facts. And I want to start with Ian. Ian, what do you think about the lawsuit? In your own opinion, can you tell me how did it make you feel when this lawsuit came out?
Oh, I thought it was nonsense. Well, not nonsense. I was pissed that it happened, just because it immediately affects my way of earning an income. Because my business is primarily around educating first-time home buyers and then getting them through the process so that way they can purchase their first-time home. So inherently in that customer's budget, there's not a lot of extra cash. And as those of you who are not familiar with the real estate purchasing process, there's a lot of fees involved, even if they don't have any extra incentives, right? So we're a VA loan specialized brokerage, so the VA loan comes in with zero down, but that doesn't mean it's a free loan. They still have closing costs they have to take care of. They still have to prepay their taxes, everything that everybody else has to go through. And that can be a big hit to a family who doesn't have a lot in cash reserves. So long story short, I'm pissed off about the whole thing, because I don't know how these people are still going to get the representation that they need. And at the same time, how is this going to affect the industry which I make my living?
Okay, and then I'm going to read this, guys. This is from NAR, and I had an opportunity to get on live with, if you guys don't know what the National Association of Realtors is, it's basically like an organization that governs all real estate professionals that carry the R. And basically it's an organization that, over 1 million real estate professionals are assigned to. And the issue is that in order for us to have access to the MLS and do things, this is the governing body over the local associations to have access to the MLS. And I'm gonna tell you straight up, dude, I haven't been getting a whole lot of feedback from NAR until now. I have not had this much communication from National Association of Realtors until this freaking lawsuit came out. I wasn't getting any emails, no text messages, nothing. I wasn't even utilizing NAR. I was actually communicating more with my local board where I'm located at. And to be honest with you, I kind of feel like they kind of threw us under the bus. I kind of also feel like, let me tell y'all about what a buyer's agent does. And for those of you who don't understand, there's a lot of real estate professionals that were out there that was saying that 6% was mandatory, which it never was, right? So, I'm just going to be completely honest. I'm not holding any punches. We're going to keep it real. What do you think, Otis? What do you think about this lawsuit?
No, I think it's BS. I think ultimately, like, big picture, right? And I understand the relationship with NAR. I mean, I was a member of NAR for a long time, and I never had any interaction with NAR except when I paid my dues and I had to pay for that little lobbying fee. So I wasn't getting. It was like, I think I may have got a child support check from NAR one time. That's how absentee NAR was. Ultimately, big picture, look at it. Who is it making it harder for? Buyers.
Yep.
Right? Ultimately, it's making it harder for buyers. Who is buying up all of the real estate? Now, when we look at what organizations are buying up all the real estate, what is the goal of those organizations? I'm not going to say, but it's to make it a renter society, right?
Profit.
So when you have government involved and you have these powerful corporations that are buying up all the real estate, and now you have the government making it harder for the average person to buy a house, that's just very strange to me, how all that works, right? It doesn't change much. It's just listing agents are going to have to educate their clients on the value of the agents on the buyer side. I'm selling 3 houses right now. I could sell them myself because I know how important working with agents is. I still need 6 credits to graduate junior college, so but my grammar's off. But because I know the role of agents and how important it is, I'll co-list with an agent and I'll pay the buyer's commission. The only difference is now the buyer's agent's commission, buyer's agent is also called the selling agent, that commission is just written into the contract under other terms. So when the buyer presents an offer to me, there's just a line in there that says seller agrees to pay buyer's agent 3% or whatever, right? I do it every time. I do it 100% of the time because I want those agents out there working to sell my property.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And it's not, people look at how much buyers agents make and they run their numbers based on one transaction and fail to quantify the 120 properties they took them before to see every weekend away from their families to create value for their clients so they can find the right property. So it's not like, you just, well, let me look at it. I'll say it this way. It's the same conversation and the same argument that we would have with for sale by owners, right?
Mm-hmm.
People who think they can do it themselves. At one point, and the last time I looked was a couple of years ago, it could have changed, but at one point there was 41 possible disclosures required for different scenarios if you were selling a house in California. 41. For somebody who's not aware of that, you go ahead and do business with some of the people on the other side of the table that are about their business, they'll drag you through the mud. They'll drag you through the mud, right?
Lunch.
So you want to have representation. And listing agents, this is my personal opinion, because I'm typically on the listing side when I am in that capacity. Listing agents understand that they can get more money for their property the more agents that are out there working to sell their property for them.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's all of this. I think it's going to die down, and ultimately it's just going to be a few more pieces of paperwork. That's all it's going to be.
I think the listing agent's going to get hit the hardest.
You think?
Why do you suppose that?
I think it will be. If there's anything involved in the real estate process that is like labor, that doesn't have a large labor input, it's listing a house. You have to have the reputation put into place to be a competent negotiator and all that stuff for a business. But when it comes to all the high tech aspects of like the Zillows, the Redfins, all that are really gumming up for market share of the listing environment, I think it'll be the listing agent that'll just be replaced with basically mechanized or technologically more advantageous structures, where it's kind of like just going to the DMV, right? You just you get your permit to sell your house, and then you go.
But I still think there has to be expertise on the listing agent side to give the seller adequate representation, same as for the buyer side.
Yes.
And I see this more on the investor side, because a lot of the transactions we do aren't even on the MLS.
Yep.
So I see what's going on both sides, especially if I'm approaching somebody who's in a tough situation, I'm going to bail them out. Somebody who doesn't know that they're a seller yet, there's a lot of education that goes on in that process. And it's like, look, I don't know if anyone here has ever been to court, a criminal court.
I just want to ask Otis why he has the microphone.
Yep,
so close to
Otis,
his
you ain't the
mouth.
only one, bro.
Why does Otis have the microphone in between his chest cavity right now? I'm trying to figure this out. For those of you guys, let me do a quick room reset. Welcome to the Sit Rep Podcast, where we help you win in real estate. Guys, if you guys are on Clubhouse, click the link above my head. We're at our our rectangle table, okay? And we're out here rocking and rolling and kicking it like a sensei. And you guys could click the link above my head and actually see us live and in color. We're sitting out in the backyard. Shout out to Anthony and Alexis for setting up the studio. Okay, it's pretty dope, guys. So I wanted to go over to Bruno because and then I'm gonna go to the facts. What do you think about the lawsuit?
Shit, I'm trying to hear what Otis where he was going with about the criminal court. I'm like, where are we going with this?
My bad.
It's like, look, you can represent yourself in court.
Yeah.
You don't need an attorney.
That's a good one.
Right? What if you make an argument about how much attorneys get paid? The law is public. We could just go Google what the law is and represent ourselves. But there's certain intricacies of whatever it is, whatever field it is, that people have to be able to navigate. Now, you could say, well, I'll just get a public defender in court.
Yeah.
Well,
Good luck with that.
People with public defenders got one thing in common. All they mail got to get inspected before they mail it out now. All right?
That's 100% true. And when you talk about that, when I'm looking at this scenario, Bruno, let's talk about I want to talk about the facts. I'm going to read this fact sheet and then I'm going to pass it to you. And I want you to get your opinion on why buyers, on why buyers agents are important. Okay. NARS and plaintiff have reached a propose. Okay. In the chat, what does propose mean? Propose settlement agreement that would end litigation of claims brought on behalf of home sellers related to broker commissions. Their agreement will resolve claims against National Association of Realtors, over 1 million NAR members, all state territories and local realtors association, all association-owned MLSs, and all brokerages which with a NAR membership principal that have resided in transaction volume in 2022, 2 billion or below. The settlement is subject to court approval. Ultimately, we believe that this is the best outcome that we could achieve in these circumstances. Okay. Now let me read what it says. Coverage of NAR release. Over 1 million NAR members are released from liability nationwide. Now, the reason why this is important is because if you're out, obviously this affects the 1 million plus real estate professionals out there. NAR release covers all members other than agents affiliated with Home Services of America and its related companies. And I think that's Brookshire Hathaway. You got to check that for me. Home Services of America.
Yeah, that's one of them.
I think they're one of the only ones that hadn't settled. The last corporate defendant still litigating Sitzer and Burnett case. That's the name of the case if you guys want to Google this. And employees of remaining corporate defendants named in the case covered by the settlement. Okay, here are the changes. Okay, let's talk about the changes real quick. We are able to retain the right of consumers to continue to have cooperative compensation as an option so long as to pursue it off the MLS. So basically what that means is that we can, listing agents, listers can still, the person selling the property can still offer commission, just not listed in the MLS. So they have to do it by alternative means, okay? Negotiating and consultation fees with real estate professionals. Number 2, NAR has agreed to put in place a new rule prohibiting offers of compensation on the MLS. This change will go into effect mid-July, okay? So now, there will continue to be many ways in which buyer brokers can be compensated, including through offers of compensation communicated off MLS. And we have long believed that it is our interest in the best interest of the sellers and buyers and their brokers to make offers of compensation, but using the MLS to communicate offers of compensation will no longer be an option. These type of compensations available for buyer brokers will continue to take multiple forms, depending on the broker compensation negotiation, including but not limited to fixed fee commissions paid directly by consumers, concessions from the seller, portion of the listing broker's commission. Compensation would continue to be negotiable and should always be negotiated between agents and consumers. Now, what this tells me, okay, all right, from my own, is that a couple of things. Number one, buyer's agents are still important.
And it tells us you went to college too, because you read that real nice.
I was struggling. I was sweating. I ain't gonna lie, man. You know, I was like, the cat and the dog. The reason why I'm reading this so well is because I read it like 5 times before I got on here.
I was inspired. I was like, I should learn how to read. Sorry.
So, and it says the settlement would preserve the choices consumers have regarding real estate services and compensation. After the new rule goes into effect, listing brokers and sellers could continue to offer compensation for buyer broker services, but such offers could not be communicated via the MLS. The settlement expressly provides the sellers may communicate sellers' concessions, such as buyer's closing costs, via the MLS, provided that such concessions are not conditions on the other payment. Now, here's a problem with this. This affects FHA and VA buyers, straight up. Okay? Put a 1 in the chat if you guys believe that this affects FHA and VA buyers, and I'm gonna pass it over to Bruno. What's your thoughts on the new rules?
Man, to be honest, I think I don't have as much of a problem with it as I did right in the beginning. And then I think, you know, the more thought I gave to it, the more reading that I did, the more meetings that I sat through, the more, you know, information that I gathered, the more comfortable I got with the idea, you know, and, you know, and it's one of those, man, at the end of the day, like, I have nothing to do with the settlement. I have no impact. I have no say. So the only thing that I can do is just adapt to the change, right? Mm-hmm. So I probably bitched and complained about a day, right? And then that's it. Like, you know, it doesn't matter. Now I got to figure out, like, how am I going to adjust? Like, what is it going to do? And then how can I leverage this, right? So now, like, how can I take this and then make this be something that creates an advantage for me? Like, how can this give me an edge? You know, and then after thinking about it for a while, man, I realized, like, this is good. This is good for me. You know, it's good for me because I am, you know, you figure, man, they say that was like 5% do 95% of the work when you're looking at, you know, the number of agents you have, and then you have the actual transactions that, you know, that actually happen and deals that are closed. You have a shit ton of real estate professionals, but out of all these people that are licensed, you have very few that are actually in it, that are doing this day to day, that, you know, can say, like, yeah, like, this is how I earn a living. And I think what this is going to do, it's good because it's going to start, you know, weeding out everybody that really had no business being in it to begin with, right? So you figure just the headlines alone start to serve as a way to start weeding. People are weeding themselves out.
Yep.
Even before they even open the article to read what it says. The moment they read the headlines, it's already enough, like, oh man, you know what? I knew real estate wasn't for me. Like, you don't even know what happened. Tony, I would bet you my lunch right now that what you just read, that the information that you just read right now is probably the first time
that people heard it,
that a lot of people have heard anything else about this besides the headlines that they saw on Facebook that was posted by their friend that isn't even in real estate, that has no clue, right? Oh, NAR, they don't even know what NAR stands for, bro. You know what I mean? So man, so really for me, I feel as if it's good for the people that are actually in this, that are doing it, right? And the way that I think that it's good, or the reason why I think it's good, it's for two things, man. For the listing agent, you know, I agree with Ian that in the sense of it will require a little bit more from the listing agent, right? Because like Otis mentioned, it's going to require the listing agent to focus more on the education piece, to articulate to the seller why it is in their best interest to pay a compensation for the agents that are going to be selling the property, right? Like, and that's so important to understand the roles, man. Like, if you're selling the property, like, you know, you're the seller and I'm representing you, I'm known as the listing agent. I'm going to list that property on the MLS. I'm going to list it. I'm going to put it out there for sale. I'm listing it for sale. The person who is doing the heavy lifting with getting that property sold is a buyer's agent, the one who is selling the property. That's why we know them as selling agents, right? And then I think that on the other side of the coin, man, it's going to be good for buyers, you know, because it's gonna require the buyer's agent, you know, also known as the selling agent, to really explain to their clients that they're representing everything that they have to offer and educate them on what it is that they bring to the fight and how it can benefit them. And I think that will force to have a conversation that a lot of us, might have skipped out, because now we establish expectations early on. So I let you know what it is that I do for you as the person that you're hiring. And then I think that you will be less likely to just be over here like window shopping for agents, because now you and I are in a contract, right? You know that, you hired me, so you're going to compensate me for my time. And now the people on this table, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, we are still going to continue to do business the way that we do, which is trying to figure out ways to lessen the barrier of entry for our clients and try to find ways where, they can still pay the compensation and do everything else. But, shit, man, it doesn't have to come from their pockets. It can come from, from the seller's pockets still, just the way that you mentioned earlier. But I'll land there.
See, I was just having this conversation with Jay-Z yesterday. Let me ask you this. What about the transparency, right? Because one of the, and I got bullet points up here, and one of the outcomes of this issue was more transparency as far as commissions go.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize it was already as transparent as it could be. Like there's no that's the part that confused me. I said, well, I must be reading this wrong. There must be something else that I'm missing. There's documents you sign that say commissions are not fixed. Right?
Exactly. It's in the contract.
It's in the contract.
Yeah.
So now it's not going to reduce. See, that's a lot of the headlines. See, oh, but I'm about to get in trouble.
Say it, Otis.
Say it, man. Look, we got to keep
say
it
it
real,
with
man.
your chest.
A lot of people just don't want to pay anything. You got some people that are going to complain when they go to the mechanic, when they need an attorney, when they need a realtor, when people are just going to complain, all right? Because they don't understand the value of it, right? Until they need it, right?
Until they get screwed by it.
Right. And then they see how much it really costs. So me as a listing agent, I've been in real estate. I've been exposed to real estate my entire life, right? My father was broker for 50 some years and so on and so on. When these buyer's agents come, and by the way, it's not, I don't like to classify them as buyer's agents. That's the capacity they happen to be in. There's just agents. Sometimes they're on the listing side, sometimes they're on the buyer side.
Yeah.
Right? But when a real estate professional, if I'm listing a property and a real estate professional comes and presents an offer, it's my experience that's going to determine the validity of that offer. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to make sure that there's no loopholes, make sure there's no outs, make sure they're actually qualified. I know what questions to ask before we get into contract, and then it falls out of contract because of a lack of experience on my part, not being able to anticipate and require the right documentation and proof of funds and all these other things. So it's what is it's better to have it not need it than need it not have it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you are hiring a professional, oh, and by the way, I was gonna say it. I don't know if
No, we were gonna say, look,
by the
keep
way,
it real.
look, the folks that are in these $1 million deals, you don't hear none of this conversation.
That's a fact.
You don't hear any of this conversation.
That's a fact.
Right?
Yeah.
The folks that are, $2-3 million transaction, whatever it is, it's just send me the forms and we're good to go. Yeah, but the person, paying for that $64,000 condo. All right, let me stop. Take my mic. Take my mic off.
And this is the part where I feel like, and this is what I feel like. And guys, if you guys have questions or comments, does anybody on stage have any questions or comments that they would like to propose to us while you guys are here?
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, it's Lisa.
Hey, Lisa, how you doing?
I'm okay. So I'm
you got?
listening to you guys, and I just want to state that I've heard about this probably a couple of weeks ago. I shrugged it off. But for me, I just honestly feel like there's so much. When I dug down into it, I think the nature of the original lawsuit in Kansas deals with like antitrust issues, right? So we know that what that means in government, what antitrust is. They feel like it's some type of people banding together just to conspire against the consumers. And so that the nature of this has to do with that. Um, I just talked about this the other day because I have a new cable television show, and I talked briefly about this. And today I received a video clip from which was a video statement from the president of NAR, who states that there really is not, that we haven't done anything wrong. Um, it's really, whatever it is, it's the opposing, the plaintiffs are just really in a way trying to, what they requested for settlement is way above and beyond what the advocacy group NAR is able to pay. So if this group is dissolved, the advocacy, the training, the people who go in, like, fight for buyers, so that we can have consumers, like, there's a whole component that if this group was particularly taken away, it would really be wild, wild west. So what the gentleman said is, and I'm just going to piggyback off of the bullets that you just listed, because he mentioned that the main concern was the fact, just like you iterated, is that on the MLS, someone has a problem, right? That the fact that only realtors really can get on and put these things on. And I guess the only thing that they were probably able to attack was the fact that sellers will put the amount that they're going to pay the buyer's agent. So if this whole thing, NAR is not, they are not, and they're vehement in that we've done no wrongdoing, right? But the lawsuit is in the process where they want the settlement because they want to be able to manage the payments, and what they're settling is something that they can manage to pay. So in essence, their hands are being tied, right? And I just want to share that to you guys. You can still make the buyer, it's still the same thing. You can still negotiate with your clients, but you just, like you said, you can't write the particulars on the multiple listing service, and that's it. So there are other things that they're trying to work with, and I guess we'll get up to date information as it progresses. They'll explain more as the details drill down, like by July. So I just wanted to throw that in. It's what you all said. It makes everybody scared, like, because when you don't really know what to look for and to, like, dig down into to find out really what the real purpose of the lawsuit is, people get afraid. So I just wanted to share that, and basically that's it. It really will be business as usual. We're not doing anything wrong. It's just a group of people who are angry, right? I wish that they would, as much as I wish that they would get angry at Zillow, because, like, when Zillow came up, it really just took a lot of control of advertising away from us. Like, they kind of like souped up everything. But for whatever the reason is, people are attacking NAR. And that's it.
And here's what I wanted to say. And thank you for coming on the show, guys. And here's what I wanted to say to that. Okay, a couple of changes, just so we're clear. I was on the live with the NAR attorneys, and basically these are the things that they said that we had to do. Okay, they said, number one, we're going to have the buyer's agency agreements are going to become mandatory. Okay.
Yes, he mentioned
number
that.
Number two. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. Can you can you mute your mic so I can have the listening experience with it's an echo, so you probably can't hear it, but I'm gonna go ahead and say this real quick so we don't have any interruptions. Okay, so and thank you, Lisa, for your input. Number two, so the buyer's agency agreements are going to become mandatory nationwide. Number two, no more buyer's agency compensation will be presented in the MLS. It will be presented outside of the MLS. And then number three, they said that agents can still negotiate for their commission. Okay, so I mean, it's the exact same thing with the exception of the mandatory agency agreement and the MLS compensation not being put in the MLS. And what's crazy about all of this is I kind of feel like, I believe, to be honest with you, it's the agent's fault. I'm gonna tell you, I believe it's the real estate agent's fault. And the reason
I agree, because not everybody feels comfortable with negotiating.
Right. Yeah. And the reason why I say that, The reason why I say I feel like it's the real estate professional's fault is because they've been saying that 6% is mandatory. That's why.
They should go to jail.
Those are the people who've been saying that that's mandatory. It's never been mandatory. Even in our MLS agreement that I can pull up, it says in here, California does not dictate what the commission is. I will read it verbatim in the listing agreement that we already have in place. It never was. Okay, I'm gonna just keep it real with you. If I'm listing my property, you got house A, B, C, and D, okay? And they all A, B, C, and D, and this is the thing, A, B, C, and D, and you did not offer any marketing for that property, the one with marketing would get a buyer, right?
Right.
And then the buyer's agents, right? They're doing their job. They're driving around, not getting paid. Let me tell you, I want to go back. I want to rewind real quick. And I want to ask, because all of us are real estate professionals, okay? What is the responsibility? Let's just go over why you feel that you should be compensated for your, why do you feel that you guys should be compensated? I want to start with Ian, and then we'll go to Bruno, then Otis, then myself. Why do you guys feel like a buyer's agent should be compensated? Can you tell me, just give me a couple of nuggets of what buyer's agents do?
All right, I'll take some of the low-hanging fruit here. Like, for starters, like, you spend a lot of time with these different buyers. And to be knowledgeable enough about a variety of different people where you can communicate effectively and patiently with the very wide range of customers that you get in the real estate market. Like, it's a home, right? Everybody deserves a home. Everybody has the right to buy a home. So therefore you do get the same spectrum of personalities when it comes to your clients. And so some are easier than others. Some are more in tune with your personality than others. And it takes time to build a relationship, to build your skill set, to be valuable to a customer. And I mean, with just the sheer amount of time that you either have to spend on the phone in front of them or going around behind the scenes dealing with acrobatics of negotiations and paperwork, just with time alone, you deserve a very fair wage outside of your ability to close and be a productive sales agent. Even if you were just salary, you would make a fair income just because of the sheer amount of time you have to put in.
And let me read this real quick before I go over to Bruno. Compensation to the broker. The amount or rate of a real estate commission is not fixed by law. This is out of our listing agreement in California. Okay, this is a listing that I took. Okay, they are set by each broker individually. What does it say? Individually. And may be negotiable between seller and broker. Real estate commissions include all compensation and fees to the broker. So it's right here in bold in our listing agreement. We don't fix it. So I don't understand how we have all of this clickbait saying that, 6% commissions are going away. Standardized 6 commission is going away when it never was mandatory. What do you think, Bruno? Over to you. Why should a buyer's agent? Tell me about the why you believe buyer's agent should be compensated, and what do you think about what I just read?
And before you go, just know Anthony said I was his best friend. He skipped me twice.
Oh, my bad.
We're not keeping track.
It's the tasty beverage, y'all.
Man, I think the media has to get paid too, Tony.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? The media has to get paid too. So that is their version of advertising, right? They're in the business, same as so this is why, you know what I mean? Like, I deserve my compensation, right? Like, it's my job to sell a house. So I will do everything I possibly can to drive as much attention and as much traffic to that house as possible so people can understand why they should buy that house. And then I'm going to highlight all the good things about the house to let them know how they can benefit from purchasing this house, right? The media has to do the same thing. They need to be able to generate as much attention as possible. They're going to, like you said, it's clickbait, right? The more clicks, the better, right? But I think, man, so going back to your question, it's, so why should somebody that's representing a buyer get compensated, right? So, whenever I'm feeling that capacity, I should be compensated because of my experience that I'm bringing to the fight, right? So it's one of the things where, like, if I'm talking about a single family, home, I'm educating that person that may have never purchased any piece of real estate ever. I'm educating them of the pros and the cons of purchasing the single family residence to see if that's a good fit for them. I'm going to coach them and guide them through and mentor them along the way so that they can make an educated decision. If I'm helping somebody buy a multi-unit, right, I'm taking the information I learned from ODIS, that I paid to learn information from ODIS, that this person that I'm working with, they're not needing to pay for that additionally, right? But it's me sharing my experience and sharing my knowledge that is going to benefit them, that I've gathered from time spent, right? From mistakes that I've made, from lessons that I've learned, and across just ultimately setting them up for them to be in a really advantageous position and helping them understand whether or not it's a good deal, right? The however much that you're paying me for compensation, I guarantee you, and I would bet anything on it, that I will save you significantly more than what you will pay me for the compensation for helping you purchase a property.
Can I add something to that?
Mhm.
So just if someone asks me directly, if I'm representing the buyer and they ask what value I bring to the table, I'll give you an example. This is me talking about buyer. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Smith, look, it was listed for $300. We put in an offer at $295. The seller's kind of back and forth. They haven't really decided. This is my suggestion. They're willing to do a $5,000 credit, but I recommend you give them the $300 they want. Use that $5,000 to buy down the interest rate.
Come on.
That's how much money it's going to save you over the next 3, 5, 7, and 10 years. Otherwise, if I don't have that experience, you just save $5,000 up front, but you're going to be paying for that $5,000 for the next 3, 5, 7 years. Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, hey, look, I'm not really sure if this property is going to appraise, so we'll give them what they want, but let's at least put an appraisal contingency in there, right? And if they're really, if they're really finicky about that, then we will waive the loan contingency, right? So there's different things that you can do in the contract. Do you know how to read an inspection report? I have to be able to educate my buyers on what's realistic, especially in a competitive environment. Somebody that's new, that is buying maybe their first home, or they're new to it and they're not in this every day, and they get a home inspection. Have you guys read a home inspection? Everything is wrong with the house. Even on new construction, everything is wrong with the house. And that can be intimidating to some people. So if I'm working with a buyer, I'll go ahead and say, calm down. Before we go over this, first of all, even if the house was built yesterday, this home inspection would have some things on it. Well, let's go through it. This we should fix. Maybe we should leave these alone. This is section 1. Section 1 means things that are wrong right now. This is considered section 2, things that will be wrong later if they're not addressed. That whole experience is the buyer's agent educating the buyer. So it's not just, here, I'm showing you this house, you like it, let's put in an offer. That's just what triggers the start.
Exactly.
But it's the process that the value is really shown. Even on the listing side, you got me on the buyer side, and the examples that I just gave you, the agent on the listing side has his expertise too. And we're going back and forth, right? He can look at my contract and see how strong it is. Right? I know how to make a, not so strong contract look stronger than it is.
Yes, sir.
Right? That's expertise. And who benefits? The buyer, right? And who ultimately benefits when we're talking about this whole scenario? The sellers, because they can get more for their property if they're working with the right professionals. Right? But again, there's good agents and there's bad agents, right? The good agents really aren't going to be, they're not really that impacted by all this. The bad agents are panicking.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I done told 12 people that is mandatory 6%. Well, you should be in jail. Right?
Yeah.
That's true, man.
So
that really is true.
And something else you said, it is weeding people out. It's weeding some of the I don't want to say bad, but for lack of a better word, the riffraff professionals that shouldn't have been in real estate anyway.
Yep.
Right? They thought they was going to get in real estate, show a couple of houses, and make a quick buck.
Yeah.
And they don't value the relationship, right? They don't have an ideology that puts the customer first, make it about the customer and not the transaction. That's where the real value is. And I noticed, even before I came on with you guys, that's one of the things I noticed about you guys' team. You aren't driven by money.
No.
Right?
Nope.
You're not driven by money at all. right? And the value that you guys bring to a lot of people, I'll say it like this. You guys underpromise and overdeliver, right? Again and again and again. A lot of people, a lot of agents aren't doing that. A lot of professionals aren't doing what you guys are doing. So this whole NAR thing, I mean, it makes me laugh. You know, I can crack a couple jokes with it. But at the end of the day, ain't nobody touching anybody at this table. I don't care what regulations you put out there. And by the way, anytime the government regulates something, it's just going to be a countdown till they mess it up.
Right, exactly.
Right? We'll be having another conversation in 5 years.
I needed this. Yeah. I wanted something like this to happen because the people that are going to be weeded out, they needed to be weeded out. Yep. Because those are the folks that are making things harder, more difficult for me because I'm already, a lot of times, man, I'll tell you, like the number of like buyer consultations that I've been on, that it's me having to negate a whole bunch of myths that are created and a whole bunch of assumptions that are being made by people that are uneducated.
I've been in real estate for 35 years.
Yeah, and the reason why they make the assumptions they make, it comes from maybe experiences with people that have no idea what they were talking about. It was their engagement and interaction with somebody that had no business saying that they're a real estate professional when they have no experience to back whatever it is that they're saying. That's bullshit, right? So like Tony was talking about, like it's never been a standard like fixed like this is 6%. It's either you take it or leave it or anything like that. Yeah. Now you may come across an agent that says like, hey man, like check this out. What my charge is for me to list your house is 6%. Take it or leave it. With me, you can go find the discount realtor, right? That you sell your house for 1%.
By the way, I don't care what this is. Hey, this is how much I charge.
And it's one of those where like you go and you have, oh man, look at that right there. Holy crap.
Did you just get distracted by a bird?
They're attacking. It was like a bird getting attacked by two crows. Anyways.
Dang, gangbanging out here
in wine country.
They look to Bruno for help. Bruno just pointed and laughed.
No, but it's true, man. It was ultimately like those people that had no business being in this space to begin with that are making things harder.
Tap dancing and stuff on Instagram.
Exactly. Man, you know what? Like transparency, like the bullet that you mentioned, right? Agents who were going around and saying that, hey, man, like I am a buyer's agent, and you know what? It is free. It is free, and that right there in itself is a lack of transparency because it was never free to begin with. They were getting compensation now only because it's not coming out of your pocket immediately up front. It's still coming out of your pocket. It's not coming out of your pocket up front, meaning that you're not reaching into your checking account and writing a check to Anthony Glenn for helping you buy a house, right? It's coming from the loan that you're taking out, that you're paying to the seller, that he deducts from the proceeds that he's making. So you're still getting compensated. So that in itself was a lack of transparency on a lot of agents that were saying that it was free for you to hire them because it wasn't. They were still getting compensated.
Let me tell you another thing too that I wanted to address. For those of you who don't know, real estate commissions is a tax write-off anyway. So I don't even know why we even having this discussion. Like, and this is the reason why people think that it's expensive to hire a buyer's agent is because those buyer's agents don't know how to present their value. That's exactly what it is. What Otis kind of alluded to. Buyer's agents are driving around. They're not getting paid. They're showing you 100 houses. You guys people are counseling showings, arguing with realtors, negotiating, making sure the home inspection is good, going through the home inspection, doing the initial inspection, the final walkthrough, pointing out discrepancies, making sure you know how to do your disclosures, making sure you do your paperwork, making sure you don't buy anything while you're buying a property. It's so many things that we have to do, making sure the contingencies are in place to protect you. There's a lot of things that agents do that I feel that people, you know, I don't understand why we still have to present our value to people, not understanding the importance of how important it is and imperative it is to have somebody negotiating with you to make a comprehensive thing.
How many marriages have you kept together, Tony?
Huh?
How many marriages have you kept together?
Oh man, I'm gonna tell you right now, dude, like marriages and stuff like that. I cannot tell you how many times that I have actually talked to people. I got a phone call. Let me say this real quick. And then I'm gonna do a quick room reset. Welcome to the Win in Real Estate house. Today, this is I'm drunk. Okay, I'm feeling a little buzz. I'm telling you, I've been drinking some tasty beverages. Now I'm messing around. But I have Ian Jensen, I got Bruno NASCIMENTO, Otis James, my brother. And guys, we're talking about from a realtor's perspective why this lawsuit is so crazy to us, because we never had an issue with presenting our value. So for those of you that are here, click the link above my head on Clubhouse. Make sure you get into the YouTube channel, the SitRep YouTube channel, where we help you win in real estate. And we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff. We're going to be coming on here telling you guys what's next. Now, we beat this stuff over the head about talking about the value of what's going on. This is my personal take, and I want to know what you guys think. I believe that an organization that is trying to save money, what do? They fire people, right? They downsize. They become more efficient. I believe that the real estate industry is going to get more efficient. I believe nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change in regard to how we do business. I did say many, many times over that the disclosures is going to change. That's exactly what happens. And I believe that the good real estate professionals will still be standing. Okay. And what do champions do? Do they lose games? Yes.
Yes, but they're conditioned.
They're conditioned for stuff like this. Okay. You can either evolve, okay, with the changes, or you can sit stagnant and just be fear-mongering everybody. What do you guys think? Is there anybody on stage who wants to add value to the conversation? I see Jacob. I see Mr. Williams. I see Jeremiah and a couple of other people. Let's see here. Who is that? Is that Renee?
Yes, hi, how you doing?
What's up, Renee? How can we help you win in real estate? Welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot. So, just with, escrows in California, our listing contracts state that the seller pays the listing agent, and then the listing agent is supposed to pay the buyer's agent. But when we go into escrow, it makes it seem that the seller is paying the buyer's agent, but our contracts state that the seller is to pay us and we are to pay the buyer's agent. I had an issue with an escrow company when I told them that they had to pay my company first and I was going to pay the buyer's agent. If we did it that way, then we wouldn't have an issue because we're charging the fee and then we're paying for that exposure to get that buyer's agent to get a buyer. So I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah, so that's really just, you could clear that up actually with escrow, right? Because when a seller looks at that, they're basically seeing two line items. They're seeing the 6% just split in half.
Yep.
So what you could do is the same way you would if you were giving the seller a credit back out of your commission, you could say, hey, title company, go ahead and just list me on the 6%, and then on a different line item, show a credit to the buyer's agent from me, the listing agent. So it's really just how it shows up on the HUD-1 that can confuse people, but I mean, you can clear that up.
Yeah, and even with the listing agreement, right? Like in the listing agreement, it does talk. It specifically addresses the cooperating brokerage compensation, right? So, so in the listing agreement, it does show how much is going to the listing agent, and then how much of cooperating brokerage is going to go to the agent that brings a buyer.
Is there anything wrong with that? Is there anything wrong with motivating a sales force to sell your product? Because it feels like that's what's being under attack. If I offer you whatever an extra 20% of whatever your normal fee was just to sell it faster, is that something that's wrong?
I don't see how it can be wrong.
I don't see how it can be wrong.
How can that be wrong? You know what I mean? So it's one of those where
so then how are we supposed to
replace it with homes
as a tactic from now on? Like if you want to offer a higher commission to sell something faster, if there's nothing wrong with that, then how are you supposed to utilize that in terms of like your selling strategy?
Well, so my conversation with the seller, right? If I'm the listing agent, this is my fee, whether we pay somebody else or not. This is my fee. Okay, I'm paying to market it. I'm paying for all of the overhead that I put in place to achieve a better outcome for my clients, right? That everybody gets to benefit from. Now, if we get a contract that comes in, even if there's no mention of a selling agent, which is the buyer's agent, whatever I charge, whether it's 5%, whether it's 6%, is going to be there. If we get an offer and it says seller to pay buyer's commission or buyer's agent's commission, I'm going to have a conversation with the seller. I think this is a good offer. Out of what you paid me, I'll go ahead and take care of that. Right? It's just a matter of how we structure it, how we explain it, right? When we're talking about transparency. But I think ultimately we're going to have to educate sellers and buyers right? Sellers and buyers. Where I see this not being as much of an issue is on the commercial side. See, we're talking about residential real estate.
Yeah,
right now.
that's crazy.
Yeah. This conversation wouldn't last 3 seconds on the commercial side.
Yep.
Right? Multifamily commercial or commercial period. But I think it's good because a lot of these conversations would have never been had this issue not come up. Now let me ask you this, Anthony. Did NAR roll over too quick on this whole thing?
Yes, 110%. I believe that in the National Association of Realtors, you thank you. I appreciate you guys for folding the cards because I actually feel like if you guys were been involved at the beginning, because this has been going on for years, it just now became public, right? Me as a person that drove around, I got a client in escrow right now in Fallbrook, okay? I got a $10,000 credit for the seller, from the seller for them. I negotiated that on their behalf, okay? $10,000. The appraisal came back, okay, at asking. So that means that I was able to negotiate $10,000 for them in the contract, which most people weren't able to do. And I got an extra $1,000. Now, because you guys folded, and I'm just keeping it real, all right? I got a phone call from them saying, hey, here's this, what's up with this, how to get money from the buyer's agent, a rebate from the buyer's agent. How can I get a rebate from you? I'm like, my rebate for you is giving you guys the $10,000 that you wouldn't able to get. That money, the value of your property is the value, okay? Scarcity, transferability, utility, and demand is what creates value in the property. How is it inflating prices when the previous homes that were sold and the appraiser comes out and gives the evaluation of the property? So my commission is coming from me doing a good job, okay? And the listing agent made an agreement to pay me if I bought a willing and able buyer to that property, which I did. So they are not getting, they're getting less money because of me being able to do my job, but my commission is a tax write-off. So when we hear these questions, right, I kind of feel like, yeah, I feel like they folded too soon. I feel like it was the Wild Wild West. I feel like we were getting charged from National Association of Realtors all of these fees, and they wasn't doing a damn thing. The local MLS was the one that was the governing body over what we did, and every time I call to ask for something from NAR, it never goes anywhere. So that's my honest truth. I feel like you guys folded too soon. I do agree with the settlement because I know you guys can't pay billions of dollars of money because it would have put you out of business. But I also believe that you guys left us vulnerable to organizations like Zillow as well.
I mean, Zillow won this whole thing.
Yeah, the people who won is Zillow and Redfin. They won.
I mean, they paid for it and they won.
Yeah.
No one has a problem.
Nobody sues Zillow.
Nobody has a problem with them attorneys that got, how much of this settlement are they, the contingency lawyers that would get 40%?
They're getting like $1 billion, yeah.
Yeah, they're making at least 30 to 40% of this lawsuit. So the money is not going to the people that got damaged. The money is actually going to the attorneys.
Hey, if we're going to say damage, we need to say damage with air quotes.
Yeah.
For sure. Because, come on, man, the damages, and no real damages there.
What would their homes have sold for had they not had those buyer's agents?
And that right there is the problem.
Right?
This is a money grab, man. It was an opportunity that people sought to reach for a money grab. And this is the problem that we have across the board, man, is that things get, this is no different than the lady who sued McDonald's for the hot coffee.
We all wanted to be her, though, didn't we?
I mean,
I wanted to be her, too. I was at Jack in the Box the next day spilling coffee on my lukewarm. I'll be back.
Moderate scarring. Just moderate scarring today.
Guys, if you guys, hold on just a second. If you're on Clubhouse, please click the link above our head. You guys will see me, Otis, Bruno, and Ian on the show.
Hi, my name is Bruno.
Color guys. Make sure you guys hit us up, show some support. Ian Jensen's cup is empty. That's why he's so quiet right now. He's got ice in his beard right now, y'all. So click the link above our head, join the show. But who else has something? What? Now, I do have a question for you guys. If a person asks a question about why should I pay you as a buyer's agent, what would that communication look like today? What would
To
you
me,
say?
if they ask me that question, I'd say you shouldn't, because that's not somebody I want to work with. Right? It's not. But I will give examples of how people have benefited. For example, I have a couple homes that I'm selling right now. Now this fly better get out of here because I'm still going to drink this.
Protein.
Yeah, this fly better get. I'm gonna drink. So I'll give you an example, right? So a lot of agents, a lot of buyers agents, ones that don't have the experience, and I don't equate time in trade to experience. I don't care if you've been in it 40, 50 years, you could have been doing it wrong the whole time.
It's a big miss that a lot of people don't get.
Right. So this particular agent, the person had a earnest money deposit. It was a very low deposit. They didn't have a lot of skin in the game, right? And there's always an inspection period for you to do all your buyer beware stuff, due diligence, see what you're buying, see if you want to go through with it. When that expires, you lose your earnest money deposit if you pull out. So I got a call from the buyer's agent. That period already expired, and they said, hey, my client's, kind of thinking of pulling out. There's some other things going on. I said, okay, well, you can pull out if you want to, but because you wasted my time, I'm going to come after you for specific performance. I'm going to sue you for that because we have a binding contract. So I'll tell your buyers I'll see them in court if they do that. They ended up not doing that, right? Because that was going to be a lot more expensive than the little money they were willing to lose to pull out. But their buyer's agent, their agent didn't explain all of the things that could happen if they pull out. Especially if you're playing with somebody like me, because I developed a rapport with that agent and it wasn't the strongest offer. And I said, look, I'm going to go ahead and accept the offer, but I'm going to be 100% upfront with you. I'm big on principle. I don't care about the money. This property ain't even showing up on my radar. But if you waste my time, then I'm going to take issue with that. I'm going to take it personally. Right? So on the buyer side, that buyer's agent, the one I was talking to, should have been educating them the whole time on what to expect next, anticipating what could go wrong, having these conversations, making sure all of their concerns are addressed. But if you don't have the experience to address all of their concerns, this is the first, when I said that, the agent said, what's specific performance? Okay, I see who I'm dealing with. Okay.
There's really only one thing.
So I had to teach that particular, this guy, about all those things. But a lack of experience could have you in court.
Yes. And a lack of experience will have you getting a person in a property and then they buy a lemon to where they get into a situation to where their listing agent doesn't give a crap and they'll sell you a property and they won't tell you anything. And then now you're in a situation to where you get a property and you overpaid for it, or the value's not there, or there's issues because you didn't know your due diligence. So I think it's extremely important to have a buyer's agent because they protect the buyers. Okay, I don't want to do surgery on myself. I'm going to hire the professionals to do it, right? So I kind of feel like, when we have these conversations and then we have these people who are saying, oh yeah, there's a lot of people that are out there that have been doing clean business. And I think it's a slap in the face for the real estate professionals that are out here that have been fighting and advocating for people for years, okay? Putting the people before the profit, that are actually negotiating on behalf of the buyers, okay? And then getting through all of this nonsense with freaking listing agents that don't know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to these buyers. Man, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I have my friend right now, Brother Patello, Patrick, shout out to him, U.S. Marine, retired, combat disabled veteran. We're in escrow on a property in Fallbrook right now. He went into that offer, and then the agent called me and said, I had to let my client know that, VA buyers, we got to be careful because they are our nightmare. I'm like, lady, how? Why would you tell someone like that scenario when it's completely untrue?
She going to jail.
She didn't have any idea what she was talking about. She had no clue about VA at all. She was from Orange County, and she said the loans are hard, the appraisal is more difficult, and it's not. Okay, and this is the type of stuff that we fight for, because now it's going to be 10 times harder to get VA offers accepted because they don't have the ability to pay for a buyer's agent, right? So now when a VA offer comes across a listing agent's side, they're going to be even more skeptical about taking that offer because they're already dealing with a lot, man. I just don't think that it's fair for people who support and defend our country should have an issue and not have the money to be able to pay for a buyer's agent. It's a slap in the face, man. And it's very disheartening to me that we have to communicate our value to people who don't understand how much work we put in to make sure that veterans are adequately supported and represented. What do you guys think about that?
Dude, you know what? I think that like the few times that I actually have some confidence in a governmental body. So like, you know, I do believe, man, that I think before this thing rolls out, I have no doubts that the VA will take things into consideration and come up with a way to kind of make it make sense, whether it's, you know, changing the guidelines to allow it be a fee that gets, you know, rolled into the loan, just like the VA funding fee, or anything else for that matter that would ultimately not place the veteran at a complete disadvantage like that. Like I you know, the government, I don't know how much they really look out, but I do feel as if that the VA will take that into consideration. And I mean, really, like they're not going to have a choice but to adjust.
Well, you think it'll be done by July, bro?
I think it will, man. I think that, like,
I bet you $1 right now. Hey, y'all hear this live and in color? I'm betting Bruno $1 that the VA will not change this thing before July.
You ever know those rich people always only want to bet $1?
Yeah.
You ever get not 20?
He's tightwad.
Who said tightwad on the show, man? Put him in the goop. Who was that up there? What's up, John?
Yeah, that's me.
John,
That's
good to
me,
see
brother.
you. Do you see us on the can you let the people know who you are and what you do, brother?
Oh yeah, you bet. So yeah, I'm John Bell. I'm in the Coronado community of 25,000 people just outside San Diego. We're on a little island here, and we have a rich, healthy market over here. And yeah, I just thought, Anthony, I mean, Tony, I can give you $5, man, if you want to up your bet a little bit. I thought $1 is pretty much
John. Thank you, John.
Indeed, John.
Hey, how you doing?
I just want to say thank you.
The other thing I was going to say, yeah, Tony, just real quick. So I know there's a little delay here, but you know, the sellers in Southern California, I don't think they would dare not offer a cooperating commission to a buyer's agent, because they realize if they do, subsequently a consequence of that is that there's going to be fewer buyers, if any, if they put a 0, you know, down on whatever agreement. So one of the things that Otis was saying earlier is maybe you just take 5 from the seller and say, I'll deal with the buyer, and it'll be case by case. And if they're getting paid by the buyer, then that's great. Maybe it's only 2% by the buyer or 1.5. I'll go up to 2.5 co-op, and I'll take care of that scenario. Because a lot of sellers, they don't want to get caught in the middle of this buzzsaw. I don't think. I think that they understand that if they do, it's going to be a bad consequence. They're going to dilute the buyer pool of buyers, and they're going to really get second-rate buyers, agents, who aren't smart enough to create the value and create the compensation accordingly. So that's what I'm thinking.
That's a really good point, John. You know, like at the end of the day, man, like now, I understand that it's a responsibility for us to do our job, but at the same time, I also feel like you want to be adequately compensated for the work that you do, man. And I kind of feel like it should be equal. You know, the listing agent is just as important as the person bringing the buyer. And I believe that, you know, to me, I've worked both sides, and I have had, you know, we've done over $1 billion in real estate sales. I actually believe, to me, that being a buyer's agent is much more difficult than being a listing agent. I think it requires more work. I think it requires more driving around. I think it's just a lot more work than putting the listing in the MLS and doing some marketing, you know, and then doing a CMA on what the property is worth. You know
they're gonna come after listing agents' commissions next.
Oh, I know, for real.
And then they're gonna play that.
Yeah. So I kind of feel like, you know, it's, you know, buyers and you as an agent, listen to me. I'm looking at the camera right now. You are going to have to understand on how to sell your value. If you do not sell your value, you will not be in this industry. And I believe that you do not deserve to be in this industry if you do not know how to present your value. I don't care if it makes you sad. I don't care if it hurts your feelings. I don't care about any of that stuff. But if you do not know how to communicate and learn alongside and do above and beyond, you are not going to be able to make money in this industry. You're going to have to be able to pivot and add more value to what you were doing when it was a hot market and houses are flying off the market. Okay? Anybody can follow a map and drive people to houses. You're going to have to take it one step further. And if you're not willing to do that, then you don't deserve to be in the business. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm keeping it real with you. You know, I would rather for you to hate my guts and me to tell you the truth than you to love me and for me to lie to you. Okay? I'm telling you straight up, you're going to have to change the way that you do business. Okay? And you can't be a lazy agent anymore. There's a lot of people that are out here that are lazy. Okay? Now, it might be uncomfortable, but guess what? It is what it is. I mean, what do you guys think about that? What do you think about that, Ian?
It's going to have to be done no matter what. It's just, where's the money going to come from? That's the bottom line. Is that, like, the value, nobody's negating the value involved in the whole situation for the buyer. It's the fact of the matter is the logistics of where is that money going to come from? Because otherwise, like before, it was almost like kind of coming from the mortgage in a way. You know, like the house just had to suck up, that extra, 2.5%, 3% of the deal. Whereas now that's not going to come from anywhere, but it's like, at least it was coming on to the cost of the house. They were buying it. So even if like the fees were still on the buyer and seller, right? But like the fees were coming out of the seller's proceeds. So they could buy that with a mortgage.
Well, what do you think? So what do you think about the bill that just passed that are letting migrants that just came in get 100% financing on their first home through grants?
I ain't touching that one.
Yeah, I just made that up. It didn't happen. I tried to trigger Ian.
That was good, man.
He said,
I'm
I ain't
from
touching
Honduras.
We almost started a riot.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you know what? It's going to, first of all, I think when people are actually in the process of buying a house, like everybody that has had something to say that's not a real estate professional that have commented and contributed to the conversation, how many of them actually own homes? I'd like to know that first. Right? How many have actually gone through the process? Right?
The people who don't
are the ones that have the greatest opinions. They're the ones. I mean, dog. Like, get on Facebook, go to the staff NCO page. The people on there that are talking the most smack about things that they're talking smack about know absolutely, positively nothing about what they are talking about.
I had somebody on Section 8 comment on one of my posts.
And this is the crazy part about it.
No way.
And this is,
and your point is?
So here's the deal, guys. Look, man. Look, we're raw and uncut. Everybody's afraid to talk about this crap, dude, man. I don't care. 2%, 3%. You got people on here saying Apple. Oh, my God, I don't want to. Listen, dog, listen. I'm not afraid to talk about, standing up for people who are out here hooking and jabbing in the industry that are doing good business, right? And, this lawsuit is a result of the 2% of the dirtbags that are out here that don't know how to do what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And this is the reason why we're in this predicament today. But I also feel like NAR should have been aware of this. And this is a lack of supervision. Mm-hmm. Anytime you have a big lawsuit coming down like this, it's because people get complacent, right? And here's the example. If you're out here buying Zillow leads, you're goofy, okay? And I'm going to tell you why you're goofy, man. Okay, the reason why you're goofy for buying Zillow leads is because of this, right? You buy a Zillow lead, you sell a Zillow house, okay? You update your Zillow stuff on Zillow. Your client has to give you a review, okay? When your client that you sold a property to, you give them a review, okay? Zillow is a marketing company, all right? So when your client goes to put how awesome you were as a real estate professional, you're basically giving Zillow your client's name, phone number, and email address, and the address of the house. So now what do you think they're doing? They're marketing to your client, and then they're selling it to people, premier agents. So NAR, this is your fault, okay? Because you are the ones that allowed a company like Zillow to encroach on our business. And right now they already have been trying the iBuyer scenario, which they lost $880 million because They try to use machines to predict the market. They're doing it again. You don't see Zillow in this lawsuit. Why? Because they're coming for our business. That's why. They're coming for our business. So guys, if you're putting your clients on Zillow, you might want to stop doing that. And if you got to buy leads, that means I go back to this, man. And I'm just keeping it real, man. You don't know how to present your value, because people that know, like, and trust you will know that you're a real estate professional. Okay? What do you guys think about that?
I actually just remembered I didn't pay my NAR dues last year.
I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, I just realized it. So can I really be mad? No, man, I think you're 100% right. I think Realtor.com should have been the Zillow. They should have saw that coming and adopted the same model. They still never did. They could have adopted the same model and then contribute to their agents. They just don't provide enough value to their agents to make it worth it.
Man, but you know what? I know. So like, here's an unpopular opinion, man. Right, and it goes against something that Tony said. Like, NAR, man. I don't. You know, do I think that they offer very much value to me personally? Bruno, the agent, right?
They have that hotline,
and
like, you could call an attorney.
But that's the thing. I don't even call that hotline. I've never called the hotline ever. I've called car legal.
Oh, car. That's what it is.
Yeah,
car
that's
legal.
car. That's not NAR.
That's right.
Yeah.
What has NAR done for you, dog?
Look, I will tell you.
Look at me, Bruno. No, we keep it real.
I'll tell you. Okay.
Put one in the chat if you want to know what NAR has done for
so
Bruno.
NAR allows me, to shorten my title on my business card, so I don't have to write real estate agent. I can just write realtor, right? So it makes it shorter. So they give me real estate in my business card, because now I don't have to write 2 words. I can only write 1 in all caps with a pretty R that's circled, right? So they haven't done very much for me directly, like this. But man, I will say that I think that I would imagine that the settlement was probably done to help its members. Because I mean, think about it. What they, and obviously it's proposed, so it's not fully signed off. But when it does, come on.
I think they just
all they did was create a loophole around the shit to really not impact things greatly, right? There's CNN and MSNBC are running amok, right, with the headlines, but really the settlement, it didn't really change things that much. So they said what? Like now the commissions can be on the MLS? They didn't say that the commissions have to go away.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel as if, like they attempted to minimize the collateral damage as much as possible.
Let me ask you a question though, Bruno. Okay. I'm a veteran. I want to buy a property from you. Okay. I have my VA loan pre-qualification.
Mm.
It's mandatory for me to sign the buyer's agency agreement. I'm a first-time home buyer. Okay. I go into the MLS, I find a house that I want to buy. You submit and you look at the house and it offers no buyer's agency compensation. How does that veteran still, what do you do?
But he would know that by looking at it, because they're not allowed to put it on the MLS.
That's right.
Right. But obviously I would be calling first to have the conversation. No, but you're right. So to your question, do I think that they thought this thing all the way through? Hell nah.
No, that's
right.
what I mean.
But even then though, so it's one of those, what they did was ultimately, I mean, because look, I mean, they're mandating the buyer agency agreement to be signed, and then they're mandating that you can't post it on the MLS. Like they didn't say that it has to go away, but then again, like it's no different than how things were before. Like I've come across properties right now today that I can pull on the MLS that will say there is, per seller, there is no buyer's compensation being offered right now.
But it's mandatory for the buyer's agency agreement to be signed. So if I enter an agreement with you, that buyer's agency agreement saying that you're going to compensate me, where does the money come from now?
So that's the thing. So if it's on me as the person who signed that contract with you to go and say, okay, well, if you get a property that doesn't offer any sort of compensation and the guidelines prevent you from tacking anything on, then at that point, it sucks. I'm just at a loss.
Yeah, but then what do you do if you can negotiate value out of it? Do you negotiate value for your salary, or do you negotiate value for the client?
So now are you saying, like, am I negotiating with the client?
Okay, so say you're the listing agent, I'm the buyer's agent. I come into you, I see eventually that it states no buyer's agent commission. but waiver magic wands, I can negotiate 10 grand worth of credit from your side.
Mm-hmm.
Do I take that in terms of my payment, or do I give that to my seller?
No, but here's the thing. So it's not right as it stands now because of the guidelines on how everything is put together. Hence Tony's question. That's not even an option because that veteran buyer can't be charged a fee.
That's right.
Right.
According to the VA guidelines.
Oh, that's right.
So
that's what the issue is.
That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Listen, I don't want you guys to miss this. Okay. In the VA loan, it says that a veteran cannot compensate a broker fees.
No real estate fees. Yep.
Okay. So that is a rule that's in place right now for VA buyers. So the buyer's agency agreement is null and void right now because that person cannot pay us anyway. So if NAR is mandating that there is a rule that says that they have to there's compensation and we have to sign these things because before we show houses now, we have to get that buyer's agency agreement signed. Where does the money come from? Because it can't come from the vet.
But now that's going to depend though on what that buyer agency document looks like, right? Because right now as it stands, right? And obviously we have to wait until this thing's like unravel and then things kind of, we get some more clarity. But as it stands now, I can have a buyer sign a buyer agency agreement with me and it doesn't state anything about compensation in there and it doesn't dictate or specify any specific amount for compensation, right? So, if anything, it's just something to lock in the representation to have them hire you. But
I think they'll just revise the agency disclosure, I think.
That I agree with you too.
Yeah.
I think it will be. But but Tony, but to answer the question, man, I think that I don't think that they thought everything through, in the same way that a lot of people don't think things looking at it and thinking about the veteran. Why? Because the population of veterans is so incredibly small, right? For the same reason that people think that, an appraisal for a VA is so much worse. Like they're just not educated on it because they don't know. Because the professionals that are in this industry are focused on the 90s. You figure if it's 3% or less that I've served in the military, right? Then people are really worried about the masses. They're thinking about that 97%. Is that right? Hell no, right? And for us specifically, because it's our niche, like we are doubling down and saying, nah, man, this is wrong. And hopefully they're going to have to, the VA will not have a choice but to do something to change it so that now the veterans are not at a disadvantage completely.
Well, we got a bet, guys, on the reset, guys. Welcome to the Winning Real Estate Show. Put a fire emoji in the chat if you guys are enjoying the show, man. I want to give a special shout out to Ian Jensen, BRUNO, NASCIMENTO, and my brother, Otis James. Guys, you guys are in the Winning Real Estate Show. If you guys see the link on Clubhouse, you'll see us live on YouTube. So if you guys, all of you guys, can y'all do me a favor? Okay, I want y'all to click the link above my head, the 30 people that are here right now on the Winning Real Estate Clubhouse room. I want y'all to click that link above my head and put these letters, LOSER, loser, for Bruno about to lose this battle. Because the reason why I want you guys to do this is because we bet $1 that the government is not going to change this rule before July. It's too soon, okay? I do not believe that the VA is going to come out with documentation, with amendments to the rules that's going to, cover how the veterans are supposed to compensate. Okay, put a 1 in the chat if you guys believe that the VA is going to come out with something before July. Put a 2 in the chat if you guys believe that they're not. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys believe that they're not going to, Put a 1 in the chat if you believe that they'll come out with something before July. Put a 2 in the chat if you believe that they are going to come out with something before July.
Put a 3 in the chat if you think those attorneys should go after child support next.
Hey, yes. What? 3. 3.
Okay, Sheldon says that, Sheldon says number 2. Sheldon definitely put number 3. I wonder why, Sheldon. Shout out to Sheldon.
Stay in the fight, Sheldon.
Stay in there, man. Stay in the fight, Jack.
I'm with Sheldon.
Okay, so it says, let me get some questions. It says, would I be able to get a TC that also licensed as a realtor to take care of my paperwork for the buying process? You can pay a transaction coordinator if you want to take care of your paperwork if you'd like to. But my suggestion is for you to, learn the paperwork yourself. Okay, we do have if you're looking for a TC and you're in California, TC Me, that's a magnificent company. It's called lovemytc.com. If you guys want to look and see what TC transaction coordinators look like, lovemytc.com. I use them. They're an awesome company.
Is that an agent asking if they can pay the TC fee? What's the question
I'm not
on that
sure.
one?
I don't know if that's an agent or not.
You better spend that money.
Yeah, man. So does anybody on stage have any questions or comments that they would like to add to the show?
Yeah. Hey, Tony, it's John again.
Go ahead, Brother John.
Yeah. So I heard that if someone gives a unrepresented buyer, you could certainly sign a buyer non-agency agreement. But if you give them the CAR forms to sign, which, are the legal forms, and that's how we get paid through our broker, then that's somewhat of an implied agency, and that may be a problem. I'm not saying it is a problem, but that may be a problem. The other thing, which I think is even more important, the point I want to make is that the compensation to the buyer's agent has always been negotiable. All right, let's just say they have 1.5 in there. And I call up and I find out, whatever through my recon, my intelligence that, my buyer might be willing to come up a little bit. I can promote that buyer and say, we want to change the compensation agreement. It usually is locked in the listing agreement and whatever's displayed. But if you want to increase it, there is a form that CAR uses in California to ask the seller to increase the compensation. So I think in order to not kill the VA industry, and by the way, I looked up the statistics. As of September 2023, there's 17.9 million veterans in the United States, representing 6.8% of the U.S. population aged 18 and older. So I think that we do have to come up with some creative ways to renegotiate where either the seller pays it, or if we have to come up, nudge up a little bit on price and add it, and then get that as a credit. Something along those lines might be doable. But I think it's really going to have to be negotiating, and then letting the seller know that they may be locking out the veteran or the FHA buyer if they don't offer any co-op commission at all. So it all has to be explained. Thank you, Tony.
I'm with you, John, and I'm gonna tell you something. And listen, man, I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. The 17 million veterans that are out here, they got to do something. 6%. That's a big, big, big buying pool, right? So, I kind of feel like, I definitely think that they need to make some changes, but I just don't think that they're gonna be made before July, man. I do not look. I'm still waiting. I'm still on hold listening to that music right now on the VA. I'm on hold. I got my phone. It's like ding, 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 ding. I'm still on hold with the VA right now. So
I covered your dollar with my $5. I covered your dollar and I put 4 more down. So I got you covered, brother.
That's a hit, man.
That's the VA soundtrack.
That's the VA soundtrack right there, man.
Miami Vice
I
soundtrack.
think that song is probably like triple diamond, right? So I see JC that has listen, JC, I'm gonna tell you something, man. You should not be paying for a transaction coordinator in the contract. Okay? JR Junior C, okay? You should not be paying breaking news, okay? If there's a transaction coordinator fee, okay, you as a buyer should not be paying for that fee. Okay? That's the agent's responsibility. The agent should be paying. The real estate agent is the one that should be paying for their transaction fee. Okay? It is a responsibility for the licensed real estate professional to be explaining that paperwork to you along with escrow. Okay? And the freaking loan officer, right? So a TC fee should not be paid. Now, a marketing fee could be paid for the agent to the agent, but a transaction coordinator fee should not be in the contract getting paid by you as a buyer. Okay? Now, a lot of people disagree with that. Some people ain't feeling that, but I'm gonna tell you right now, a buyer should not be paying for a transaction coordinator fee. Okay? That is an agent that should be paying for that fee, and it's a tax write-off for the agent to utilize that. Now, there's people inside of the contract that will be managing those things, right? But I personally don't believe that a freaking buyer should be paying for administrative stuff that's a responsibility for the agent to explain. And again, this is where it goes back to where I feel like, there's a lot of practices that's going on in the industry where people are, man, I don't even want to get into that, man, because that's going to rub a lot of real estate agents the wrong way, man.
Oh, yeah, let's get into it.
I don't want to get into it. Yeah, I don't want to get into
Punch
it,
him in
man.
the face, Ed.
I don't want to get into it. But again, Sheldon, what's up, bro? You had a question or a comment you wanted to add? I saw you come off mic.
Go ahead. I said, go ahead, let it out, Tony. Let it out.
Well, I kind of feel like, again, I feel like a lot of this stuff is going on because of the lack of the agent knowing how to present their value. I will say that over and over and over again. Once you understand how important it is or imperative it is to represent buyers, listen, I wish that you know what it feels like to give keys to someone who has never owned a home, and you see those little chicken nuggets running around in the yard in an empty house. It's nothing like it. It's different every single time, right? And Otis has got his hand on my back, man, on my lower back, man. Otis, what is going on, dog?
I just felt like you're having a moment, and I wanted to experience it with you. Like,
I really wish you knew what it feels like to deliver keys, man. It's different every time, man. And I kind of feel like, both sides should be compensated. And, I believe that the agents are the ones that suck are going to be out of the business. And that's good for the business, man. Hold on. Let's see what happens. But I believe that, after all of this settles down, all of the clickbait is gone, we're going to get back to business. What do you guys think?
What do you think about origination fees, Tony, that we see all the time?
on the mortgage side?
On the mortgage side.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because, I mean, if the TC fee is the responsibility of the agent because of the administrative requirements, what's the difference between an origination fee that the mortgage loan originator is doing?
Actually, I'm glad he brought that up because
question.
this same conversation was surrounding mortgages back in the day. I don't know if you remember with the truth in lending requirements and all the RESPA updates. And all that.
They had a better lobby.
Yeah, they're way better because that conversation was short. That conversation was 12 minutes. But, but it allowed alternatives, right? And it gave, so back in the day, I was the mortgage loan originator, office manager, the listing agent, and the selling agent. And I was able to do insurance at one point. Right? And I was the notary.
Oh, Lord. You're the reason why everything changed.
Exactly.
This was prior to 2008.
Come on, man. That sounds like a monopoly to me, man.
But what happened was when I was double ending these deals, I would talk to, I had really good relationships with all the people that were my clients. And let's say I did charge 6%, right? And I'm double ending these deals. I'm going to take some of that and say, okay, look, this is out of my 6%. I'll tell you what, how about I only charge you 4%? I'll give 2% to the buyer, right? To help you with your situation. Seller's still going to net the same no matter what, right? So I never took full compensation, even though I could have, ever. 0% of the time I did that because I was working with a lot of new buyers. He looked like he don't believe me. I was working with a lot of new buyers and they didn't have the resources. This was a lot of time, this was their first home. And back then you could do 100% financing. So it wasn't VA, but it was still, there was a stigma to that. So with loan origination fees, I would give them the option. I'd say, this is what I charge. I charge 1.25%, $4.95 to process, period. But I would give them what they call par pricing, right? And I would show them the rate sheet. I would say, this is what the lender pays me if I charge you this interest rate. And I would let them see it. And I'd say, if you need help with closing costs or whatever, you can choose a higher interest rate and anything that I get back, I'll just give to you guys, right? So it was full transparency and I was able to let them decide what it is that they wanted to do. You just don't see that anymore because there's too many people out there trying to make a money grab.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's true.
So anything misused is going to cause a ruckus.
Yep.
Right? That whole debacle in 2008 is because people were misusing loan products. And we can point the blame and blame it on the secondary money market and all that, but it shouldn't have got that far, right? A lot of these products were not designed for what people were using them for. And again, the frontline professionals should have been educating people on what it is. I felt like I articulated that really well. Yeah. You ever say something and you're like, you are smart.
So guys, man, this has been a
Quit
phenomenal
looking
show.
in the mirror.
Yeah, this has been a phenomenal show. What do you guys think about the show, man? Put a fire emoji in the chat if you guys enjoyed this show, guys. Because I'm going to close with this. Ian, what do you believe that agents need to work on? If you met Ian JENSEN first year in real estate, knowing all of the stuff that you know now, what advice would you give them?
Being a first-time real estate agent, or brand new, going into the market as a business owner, to really leverage the experience of the team that you work with, because ultimately we're all going to be dragged down to this value elevator pitch that every buyer's agent is going to have to do now. And by creating more and more, that's what I want to say. By creating more and more like assurance with the buyer that their, how do I want to say this? That their act that they want completed will be done to its highest potential and with the greatest value. That's the thing that I would be starting off with at first. That like the team I work with can provide you with the fastest solution with the most value to the problem you have, which is to either turn your house into cash or turn your cash into a house. And then from that standpoint, I'd have to probably branch off of it and tell everybody about the different opportunities like that Bruno was talking about before. Like you were talking about in this one particular deal, you said like right now the amount of credit you received for your buyer is like twice the amount of commission that you'll receive.
Oh yeah,
exactly. You know, like those are the scenarios that you need to build into your value pitch, for lack of a better word, as quickly as possible and as completely as possible, so that everyone knows and you have a way of authentically producing a valuable product to your clients.
That's good. That's good. And Otis, what about you? If you could go back and reverse the clock, what advice would you give Otis James in regard to becoming a real estate professional, knowing what you know now and where we are with the NAR lawsuit and everything else?
I'd say learn your craft and start with that purchase agreement and then learn the financing side.
Bingo.
The value that you're able to offer.
I should have went last.
You should. I'm telling you, I was saving that one. I was going to tell you to go to Bruno first so we can end it on like a final thought with me. Right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But I would say learn everybody's job in the process, because a lot of the value that I'm able to offer is from experience. It's from being in those different roles and being able to anticipate things before they happen and put into place a contingency. Not only that, get my either seller or buyer ready for the possibility of this thing potentially happening, right? If you're only on the real estate side and you don't understand the financing side, you're subject to all of these unknowns just like your buyer is.
Yep.
Right? And that, at the end of the day, can cost your buyer money. I'm gonna land my plane right there. I feel like that is the pinnacle of advice.
Shit. Well, let me go ahead and pick it up from there. So I think what I'm gonna say is, I would say for you to start right at the purchase agreement and then make your way to learning about lending. Because I personally feel that if you don't. If you don't really understand, and if you only stay in one lane, then you just open up yourself to all these other things that are around you, and then you just kind of, you're at the mercy of, the external factors
around you right now. You have an aura around you. That's freaking brilliant.
No, but I'll tell you. So I think for me, if I can go back, like what I would do is really just master what it is that I'm supposed to be doing before I even started doing it, right? So. Yeah, it would start with the purchase agreement, right? But it wouldn't end at the purchase agreement. It would start with the purchase agreement and then all the other disclosures, all the other forms and everything else that's associated to the transaction for you to actually learn what the hell it is that you're talking about. People think that, think about this shit. You can get a real estate license here in California in 54 days. Right? Or you can pass all your courses to be eligible to take your exam in about 52 or 54 days from start to finish.
No one's going to dispute that here because we never looked it up. We're like, did you
right? So it's one of the things, man, where only because you are licensed doesn't mean that you are a subject matter expert, right? And that is the line that I'll draw because you can be a professional, right? Meaning that what? It just means that you're licensed in a specific thing, right? That gives you the credentials to practice or do that thing. That is what makes you the professional. But you being the professional doesn't mean that you're the subject matter expert. So you can essentially be a real estate agent and know shit about real estate.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know, and that right there is what I think has contributed to a lot of the problems, a lot of the things where it was two things. It was shady people, right? People with malice, people that are doing things, right? That are just looking out for themselves to try to make money, right? With shady intentions. And then you have people that just don't know, that are ignorant, right? They just don't know. So the lack of knowledge makes them as dangerous as the first type of person who did something with malice, because ignorance can ultimately cost you significant amounts of money. It can, you know, open up your client to all sorts of liabilities and all sorts of things where, you know, it can do just as much harm with you not knowing as somebody who has bad intentions.
That's what's up.
What do you think, Tony?
Before he goes, can you change the filter? I have a fat face. I'm looking on YouTube. I don't know what the camera. There's a filter on. Like my neck is fat. I don't know.
Here's what I'm gonna say, man. You know, if I could go back, you know, and talk to Anthony Glenn, I would tell him to make sure that everybody who you deal with put the people over the profit. Make sure that you're putting the people first. No matter what you're doing, if you're in real estate, you need to make sure that you understand that person, you have the ability to represent that person that is doing the most important thing, the biggest financial decision of their life, and that's investing in real estate. And I believe that is where we lost fiduciary to the client. And we need to go back to the grassroots of what being a realtor is, and that is making sure you do fiduciary duty in the best interest of the people and not worry about the profit, because if you take care of the people, the profit will come. And and yes, that's absolutely right. I say it over and over and over and over again. People over the profit, people over the profit. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is that you need to diversify doing what you do and create an exit strategy out of real estate. If you're out here and you've been in real estate for 20 years and you're out here driving around showing homes and you're not scaling, right? And you're not putting other people around you or partnering with people sooner that are like-minded. If you know, Otis is my homie. JENSEN is my Anglo-Saxon brother. Okay. BRUNO NASCIMENTO from Miami. I roll with people that keep me in balance. You know, I get phone calls from Ian and Bruno all the time about, hey, am I making the right decision? And that's what I like most about working with people that understand how important it is to sharpen, your sword, is that you got to have people with character around you, and you got to have people who are doing better than you around you in order for you to. I hang around people who I want to be like.
Oh. And
I do business with people. I do business with people that have the courage to tell me that I need to do better. And if you're not an agent and you don't have anyone around you like that, you're going to be chasing the money, straight up. And that's what got us in trouble right now. People out here chasing the money. Okay. If you don't have anybody around you that's saying, hey man, you might want to reconsider this, or you might want to look at this again and make sure, or I would do this. And they keep that person that you're representing, at the core of what you're doing, then those people will make sure that you're doing the right thing versus the fast thing. Because the fast thing is the money. The right thing is the far money. And that requires for you to have intricate roots in the ground that's surrounded in character, love, respect, fiduciary and things of that nature. I think it's extremely important. And if you keep that at the pillar of what you're doing, you're always going to make profit. Okay? That's simple. The reason why you guys are not making money in this industry and you're afraid of what's going on is because you're worried about the money and not the people. Let's call it what it is. You're worried about how much money you're not going to make. And a lot of you guys out here that are real estate professionals ain't making no money and doing sales anyway. So what you worried about? Right? Okay. You ain't got sales. I look you up. The people that are the loudest are the people who ain't selling houses. Right? So again, man, the seed is reserved for the farmer, not the harvester. Okay, that's a biblical principle. The people who are having abundance, the reason why they have an abundance is because they want to make sure other people have an abundance. If you look at successful people, they're employing people. If you look at successful people, they're bringing people along with the success. So again, make sure you keep people above everything. If the person and the client is the most important thing, you're not going to worry. No change in the industry is going to matter. All right.
I'll just say this. Look, I think all of us can agree. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. I'll say it.
Oh, this man.
I don't know where this is going, but I'm a little concerned.
I think that's all that needs to be said, right? At the end of the day.
Yes, absolutely. Well, on that note, guys, if you guys enjoyed the show, please make sure you guys put a fire emoji in the chat. Ian Jensen, how can you be reached?
All right, everybody. Please look me up on Instagram, Ian_Jensen_Realtor is probably my best bet. And then on Facebook, Ian Jensen. Pretty easy day.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Brother Otis, how can we reach you?
Otis James 1, ODIS JAMES, the number 1 on Instagram or meetotis.com. MEE. That's too much stress. Meetotis.com. Or you can email me at otis@otisjames.com.
Or you can find him on MySpace also, or Black Planet.
Black Planet.
Okay.
Otis at sbcglobal.net. I got to put the CD in to get the internet.
His website's actually Otis Meat.
Otis Meat. Bruno, how can we reach you, brother?
All right, man. So
go to your local Planned Parenthood.
No, man. So I'm on Instagram. So my handle is at Making Homeowners, and my website's makinghomeowners.com. And you guys can reach out, man, and we'll definitely get you guys connected and just continue to have the conversation. You know what I mean? I think that it's good for us to hop on here to share ideas and go back and forth, man. But it's like, what is it that we're doing with the information afterwards? So.
Okay, and I propose a cheers. Can you guys put cheers? I got breaking news. Can we get a drum roll? Breaking news. Ian Jensen is going to be a father.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Hey! So put a heart emoji in the chat for Ian Jensen for scoring first place. All right.
I know a good attorney, man. You could fight it. They got to prove it was you.
A lot of mercy.
We'll talk
It's like
offline.
parking tickets, right? I don't know how many I really got out there.
Yeah, you can fight that.
So shout out to Ian Jensen. We really, brother, I appreciate you riding on this journey with us. And it's just cool to, have my family around me, man. Bro, listen, it has been a great ride. We really appreciate you guys. I can be reached at anthonysocial.com. Okay. And guys, please hit the link above my head. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to be coming live and in color. We're going to be interviewing a multi-millionaire tomorrow. Okay. He's an oil professional. He's been in the oil industry for 20 years. Okay. His name is Arlen Travis. And then also we have a very, very special guest, a person that does taxes for the guy that wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Robert Kiyosaki,
baby.
Oh, snap.
Was the wheel right?
Yeah, we might be having him on the show, guys. So listen, make sure you subscribe. This guy is a tax professional. He's out of control, man. So we're working on getting him on the show. So guys, make sure you subscribe, hit that that bell notification anytime we go live. Tomorrow we'll be doing that. And then also we're going to be doing some stuff with Grant and Elena Cardone. 10X Military Spouses coming to the ladies. The ladies are doing, don't worry about it, ladies. We got y'all. We'll promote you guys. All right. So, 10X Military Spouses is coming to a YouTube near you. And then Otis James, when's your next event?
It is in Philadelphia, May 4th. But I'm doing a lot of stuff, a lot of grown-up stuff, a lot of business stuff.
Yeah, you partnered with us.
I just feel like going after Anthony with all that. I wasn't prepared to.
I know.
I wasn't prepared. He's like, "No, what are you doing?" Well, I got a virtual event I'll be doing from Zoom, March 30th.
Otis is going to be doing yoga. Okay, all right. So he's going to have on a yoga onesie. Okay.
It button in between the legs.
With knee pads. Okay. All right. Listening to 80s music.
Leg warmers.
All right.
Hey, I gotta say, Ed, though, look, it's always good to come and hang out with y'all. These guys are the consummate professionals, man, and we clown around and all that. But outside of this, these dudes are taking care of business, and I'm glad to be a part of the chairs. I'm about to be a part of the team now.
Cheers, 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 cheers.
I got nothing in my shit. Drink it all.
And shout out to Double A, man, for bringing this production to you guys. You guys have no idea. These guys drove from Oceanside, came all the way to my Casa de Glen, to set up this. I'm always going to give a shout out to the people who are represented. And I also want to say, Jonathan Bing, brother, we appreciate everything that you do for people in the community. We love you. We appreciate you. And shout out to Grant and Elena Cardone for partnering with us and doing some stuff with veterans. We're super excited with that. Cardone Veterans Group coming to a theater near you. All right, Sit Rep Podcast out. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Let me see. It says he didn't know his links. Laugh out loud. Poor Craig. Who is Craig? Oh, Craig. Somebody's been looking at my Instagram. Shout out to Craig, man. Craig, my friend Craig passed away, man. If you look at my Instagram, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, Jacob, shout out to you guys. We love you guys. Thank you for support. Okay, and then we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
And shout out to Clarissa and Jamisha and all the people from the 4 data points. I told you, ladies, no eye contact.
Okay, and Dr. Carissa, thank you for putting Vaseline on your heels.
Yeah.
We know them heels be lubed
that
up.
Condition.
Okay, the back of them heels be lubed up so ain't no cracks. Dr. Carissa.
Dr. Carissa's the truth, man. Always looking it up, man. Always supporting, man, for real.
All right.
We appreciate you, Dr.
Okay.
Carissa.
Shout out. All right, y'all. Peace.
All right, everybody.
See you guys.